Good morning. 295 are presumed dead after Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 is shot down by a missile on the Ukraine-Russia border. Working level talks to work out the details of North Korea's participation in the Asian Games comes to an abrupt halt. Women getting back into the workforce. Labor policies are being introduced to accommodate the schedules of women returning to work. And the Group C clown has a sound all its own, and they're on their way to the top spot. What drives them and how high will they fly? On Korea Today, Friday, July 18th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning. Thanks for tuning in to our Friday edition of Korea Today. I'm Eujin Ju alongside Kim Min-jung and Kim Young.
Thank you for joining us. We begin with some breaking news overnight. A Malaysia Airlines passenger plane carrying 295 people crashed in Ukraine near the Russian border as it was traveling from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur.
Details are quickly pouring in about this plane crash. We'll go straight to our Eunice Kim for the latest on this. Hello there, Eunice.
Good morning.
Now, authorities seem to be concluding that the plane has been shot down.
That is a conclusion that U.S. authorities have made this morning. U.S. Vice President Joe Biden said the plane was, quote, blown out of the sky and that it was not an accident. But we should stress investigators are scrambling to determine who was behind that apparent attack on the passenger plane and where the 295 passengers were from and if any managed to survive. Now, the plane fell near the city of Donetsk in the restive eastern Ukrainian region, which of course has become a stronghold for pro-Russian separatists and a lot of conflict there. Ukraine's Interior Ministry advisor says the plane, which was flying at 33,000 feet, was brought down by a ground-to-air missile fired by separatists. But separatists of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic have denied any involvement, and more reaction obviously coming in as the morning progresses.
And you did mention details are still sketchy as to the identities of the 280 passengers on board and where they're from. What do we know so far? Do we know if there were any Koreans on that plane?
Well, the Korean Foreign Ministry is still trying to determine whether there were any Korean nationals on board. We are hearing that France's Minister of Foreign Affairs confirmed at least 4 French victims are on the plane. U.S. authorities also looking into whether any of its citizens were on board. And obviously a lot of scrambling going on this morning as the story you mentioned, Min-jung, just breaking this morning. We will keep you posted throughout the day, and I will be back later with more stories in the newscast.
And inter-Korean sports diplomacy isn't going exactly in the direction officials have hoped for, as working level talks to discuss the details of North Korea's participation in the 2014 Asian Games ended with the North storming out of the room. The talks, which took place in the border village of Panmunjom, did not see the settlement of core issues, including the size of the North's delegation and expenses involved.
North Korea accused South Korea of trying to break down the talks on purpose and stormed out after unilaterally ending the meeting. Such action by the North is deeply regretful, and we hope to see North Korea participate in the Incheon Asian Games.
Pyongyang's proposal included the largest ever North Korean delegation to the Games, 700 athletes and cheerleaders, and a North Korean ferry to be used as housing in Incheon. South Korea said it would accommodate North Korea's team according to global standards, but when asked for more details on its plans, the delegation walked away questioning Seoul's motives. No dates have been set for an additional round of talks, but the two sides are expected to meet again before the Games open on September 19th.
An investigation has begun into the cause of the firefighting helicopter crash in an urban area in Korea's southwestern city of Gwangju on Thursday that killed 5 people who were returning from disaster operations at the Seowolho ferry accident site. Authorities have recovered the black box containing vital information, including flight data and voice recordings from the cockpit, and moved it to the Aviation and Railway Accident Investigation Board. Authorities are also collecting data from the control center and working on obtaining accounts from eyewitnesses. An official at the National Forensic Service says it will take at least a year to reach a conclusion on the cause of the accident.
Opening up the rice market. The South Korean government is to announce on Friday its decision to open the local rice market to imports, but likely with high tariffs. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs says the decision will be announced following a meeting between related ministers. The government has long been expected to liberalize the market, a move that the ministry officials say would eventually help protect the country's rice industry. While the expected move is unlikely to spark a surge in rice imports because of the heavy tariffs anticipated, it does mark a key psychological shift in a politically sensitive sector. Farmers have vowed to fight the decision and have already launched protests on Thursday. Korea had managed to keep its rice market closed from free trade in exchange for mandatory imports that began in 1995 that come to an end this year. The government says the import volume that has jumped by 8-fold over 2 decades is now too great a burden.
A significant number of working women in Korea stopped pursuing their careers after marriage and having babies so they can raise their children at home. But what do they do if they want to get back into the job market? One of President Baek Geun-hye's focus when it comes to labor policies has been to provide tailored or part-time jobs for women who want to return to work. And earlier this week, the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family announced it will add to its existing programs to better cater to women with specific needs. Our producer Lee Ji-yeon looks at what kind of help is out there and what more needs to be done.
A warm welcome for Mum after a long day at work. It looks like any other day at this home in Seoul, but seeing their mother Choi Gyu-won come back from a job is still something the kids are getting used to. Choi used to be a stay-at-home mum for nearly 10 years to raise her children after quitting her job as a pharmacist.
For a long time, I had only lived as a mother, packing everything else up and putting it away in a drawer. I found myself questioning whether it was okay to live this way, seeing some of my other pharmacist friends.
Now she's back with a full-time job. Some things have changed, she says. The medicine, the ailments patients struggle with, and even how she interacts with the customers. But for the most part, it's manageable, and for that, she considers herself lucky. More than 90% of women in Korea with young children believe they should have jobs. But in reality, many put their careers on hold to raise their children, only to face multiple obstacles when they try to re-enter the workforce.
Roughly 58% of working women leave the workforce to give birth and raise their children. 66% of them return to the job market, while 37% never make it back. But even for those who manage to get jobs, they struggle to stay employed and repeat a cycle of employment and unemployment.
To help break this cycle, the Ministry of Gender Equality operates 22 employment support centers in Seoul and roughly 100 across the country, offering practical classes and even job counseling centers on wheels.
Most women here either have a gap in their careers or have been looking for jobs for a long time. So there's a lack of confidence. We give them aptitude tests, education programs that suit them, and provide overall help until they find the right jobs.
But even with the variety of classes that range from web designing to cooking and even making clothes for pets, the challenge is to actually give women the competitive edge they need. 40% of the some 5,000 students who attend these classes annually at this center manage to secure jobs, but that includes part-time positions and temporary work. And although more companies and government offices offer internships or returnships and part-time work without specific skills or certifications, the average 3 to 8 year break is often too great to overcome. Experts say more childcare facilities and support for mothers, such as providing flexible hours at the office and a more family-friendly corporate culture, is what can prevent them from leaving the workforce to begin with. And in the meantime, more advanced, long-term, and specialized classes are essential in helping women open new doors to opportunities so they can secure a stable future. Lee Ji-yeon for Korea Today.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. The firefighting helicopter crash from yesterday morning is on all of our local papers this morning. Let's go right ahead and begin with some images regarding the accident on Gyeongyang Shinmun. And the images are titled Seoul Ferry Search Aiding Helicopter Crashes Near Apartment Complex in Gwangju. Now, Gwangju is a southern city here in Korea, and the crash unfortunately did kill all 5 of the firefighters aboard, as you heard earlier. The helicopter was returning to its headquarters after participating in search operations for the 11 people still missing from the Seoul Ferry disaster. And that is the helicopter nose diving there in the first image before crashing onto the ground, causing all this blaze as well as the black smoke here. Now, taking a look at this headline beneath the images for a different story, liberalization of rice markets starting next year is what the headline reads. Now, if we take a closer look at this, today the Korean government will officially announce its decision to open the local rice market to imports subject to tariffs. Now, the subheadline here says that the government is expected to announce its proposed import tariff rate on rice shortly before the start of its negotiations with the WTO this September. The government says this is a move that will eventually help protect the country's rice industry, but local farmers also fear for cheaper rice coming in from the U.S. and China. These will be flooding into the country. Now, going to 중앙일보 for a look at the top story here on North Korea. And the article is titled, North Korea joins the Asia-Pacific Group on Money Laundering, or the APG. The 17th annual meeting of the APG is currently being held over in Macau. Now, APG members and observers are committed to the effective implementation and enforcement of internationally accepted standards against money laundering and the financing of terrorism. And now North Korea has earned its right as an observer here, as you can see in the subheadline, for the first time. Meantime, interpretations have it that North Korea's joining of the group comes as it tries to get other countries to relax financial sanctions against it. Thus, all eyes are on how some of the other nations, including the U.S., will respond. And next up, we have 동아일보. We'll take a look at this story here at the bottom, close up. The header says government withdraws plan for taxation on 전세 security deposits of dual house owners. Now, the government has gotten rid of its initial plan to levy a tax on profits gained from 전세 for those owners who possess 2 houses. Now, 전세 is unique to Korea, which involves the tenant giving the landlord a large sum of key money or lump sum deposit on a rental space when a lease is signed. The newly appointed finance minister and deputy prime minister Choi Kyung-hwan, on his second day in office, has been putting forth a variety of measures and policies to revive the real estate business. The Ministry of Strategy and Finance yesterday said they have agreed with the ruling Saenuri Party on taking out this particular taxation policy from their original plans. Meanwhile, over on the Korea Economic Daily, let's take a look at the top story here on some other words coming from Finance Minister Choi. Here at the top, it reads, Choi Kyung-hwan says greenhouse gas emissions trading scheme has many problems. Now, Minister Choi also yesterday showed signs of revising the greenhouse gas emissions trading scheme that is to be enforced starting next year in January, which he finds problematic. He said that the law has it that it will be implemented from January, but because of many problematic issues being exposed regarding the scheme, he plans to thoroughly check and inspect the issues and then decide whether or not to carry out with the plan and when to do so as well. Finally, let's take a look at the Mail Business newspaper for this story here on the stock market. The title says, positive air hovers over Korea's stock market. Shares hit highest this year. Now, Korean shares hit this year's closing high yesterday on growing expectations for fiscal stimulus after a new finance minister has come into office. And if you take a look at the subheadline, it says that the Korean stocks managed to break through the 2020 barrier yesterday as speculation over rate cuts grew in the country. Also, Korea's 10-year bonds rose the most in 2 weeks, and stocks extended a rally after Minister Choi flagged a possible interest rate cut. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Friday. And now more on the stock numbers from Thursday.
Let's now get a check on the weather. It was like watching a fireworks display this morning in the wee hours.
It was quite a show coming out to work. It was rather
thunder
entertaining,
and lightning, right?
We're getting some rain in the southern regions as well as parts of the central regions as well. We'll get a check on today's forecast.
And also the weekend with our Chun Song-cho, who joins us from outdoors. Good morning to you, Song-cho.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live by the Jamsugo Bridge. We're starting off with light precipitation and occasional thunder and lightning this morning. The monsoon front has come up north and it's right over the central regions. So this thundery weather will mostly dominate this part of the country. A heavy rain advisory has been issued around the capital area with expectations that it can pour down really hard, up to 40 millimeters per hour. Especially along the west coast, a lot of rain, over 100 millimeters in total, may be on the way, so flash flooding is a possibility in some parts. These intense downpours will lose its power as we move into the day, but the rain will resume tomorrow. For those of you who are taking a weekend trip this weekend with your family or loved ones, please be careful and keep updated with the weather forecast. Now let's move on over to get a closer look at today's temperature readings. Despite all of this rain, temperatures remain relatively high in the late 20s all across the country. Seoul's midday highs are 27, and Daegu and Gangneung will even hit the 30s and 31 degrees Celsius. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to you, Min-jung.
All right, we'll go back to our news center to get the latest on some of the other global headlines we're following at this hour. Hello there, Eunice, again.
Hello.
A significant development on the conflict in the Middle East. Israel has launched a ground offensive in Gaza. This is huge.
That's right, Min-jung. This, of course, a possibility that had been hanging over the 10-day aerial assault bombarding Gaza meant to destroy Hamas's military capabilities, according to Israel. Now, residents reporting heavy artillery and naval shelling, as well as helicopter fire along the Gaza border. We're also getting reports of 18,000 additional Israeli reservists being called up. This, in addition to the thousands of Israeli soldiers who had already been on standby on the Gaza border in recent days. An Israeli military spokesman explained the operation will target infrastructure and operatives to safeguard Israeli civilians. The office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he made the call after Hamas militants tried to infiltrate into Israel through a tunnel from Gaza, and also after Hamas rejected an Egyptian-brokered ceasefire plan earlier this week.
Let's shift our attention to Japan this time. The government there had effectively waived its self-imposed ban on armed exports in April, and now it has given the green light to its first weapon parts export, this time to the U.S.
That's right, Min-jung. Japan's National Security Council gave that green light on those measures, as well as a joint project with the UK to develop air-to-air missile technology. Now, according to Kyodo News Agency, the exported item to the U.S. will be high-performance sensors produced by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, meant to be installed in PAC-2 surface-to-surface missile systems, which will be then exported to Qatar. As you said, the Tokyo government had effectively waived its ban on armed exports in April of this year, instead replacing it with three conditions: a ban on weapons exports to situations that would pose as a threat to Japan's security, to countries participating in international conflicts, and to countries that use said exported goods in ways other than specified or transferred to third countries. And with that, we'll wrap your look at the global headlines for now. We'll bring you updates on that Malaysia passenger plane crash in Ukraine throughout the day.
And coming up later, they're more popular overseas with fans in Japan, Europe, and South America. Sea Clown is back with their new album, and Denny Hong sits down with them to learn what has helped turn the boy band into an up-and-coming Hallyu icon. Stay tuned.
Back pain is one of the most common problems people have. About 60 to 80% of the adult population has suffered some sort of back pain, a significant percentage of them requiring surgery. But surgery may not be the best option. Non-invasive procedures are readily available for patients, with advancements in these treatments evolving by the day.
More people are opting for spine surgery. But as the number of operations increase, there have been more unwanted side effects as well. So is surgery the best option?
About 5% of the patients with severe spine disease and conditions need surgery, but over 90% are treated with non-surgical treatment.
A patient suffering from a severe back problem is here at the hospital from Japan. The patient not only wants an accurate diagnosis, but treatment that is best suited for her body.
I have a job where I have to use the computer a lot and sit for long hours, so it has put a lot of stress on my spine and it's painful. When I went to most hospitals in Japan, they recommended surgery, but I've heard it can leave side effects, so I wasn't sure about it.
The hip bone is where most of the weight in the spine lies, and between the bones there are spinal discs that absorb shock. When this disc protrudes, it becomes a herniated disc that pushes down on a nerve. Spinal stenosis is when the open spaces within the spine begin to narrow down and apply pressure on the spinal cord and nerves. The number of patients who must receive surgery only stands at roughly 5%. This means the remaining 95% can recover with non-surgical treatment only.
Surgery is good in the sense that it's a one-time treatment and it shows fast effects. But the spinal problems can recur. Roughly 13 to 18% of the patients need surgery again within 5 years. The reason behind this is because after surgery, the entrance to the disc is open, and there is no way to block it.
Non-surgical therapy, as the term suggests, is when instead of cutting into the body that requires general anesthesia, injections and minute catheters are used under local anesthesia to treat herniated discs or spinal stenosis. The most common non-surgical treatment used is epidural neuroplasty. Epidural neuroplasty is a treatment that widens the space between discs and the area where nerves are pressed down. The amount of time required is about 15 minutes. How would the experience be for the patient?
I received local anesthesia and was awake for the treatment. There was almost no pain, and even though I'm walking out like this after the treatment, I don't feel much pain.
There are other treatments such as epidural endoscopy, where an endoscope and a special catheter equipped with a laser are inserted into the tailbone to get better visualization. Epidural adhesiolysis is when a catheter with a balloon expansion features is inserted into the tailbone to help expand the narrow spinal canal.
The best part about non-surgical treatment is that there is almost no risk associated. Recovery is quick, and there are almost no concerns about anesthesia, bleeding after surgery, or infections.
Spinal treatment requires extreme precision, and the doctor's experience in the field and know-how is essential. He has carried out 31,000 cases in non-surgical treatment, and of them, 29,000 are in epidural neuroplasty, one of the leading methods. Koh Do-yle Hospital is well known for holding the largest number of cases. Dr. Koh Do-yle continues to find better non-surgical methods that can act as a central pillar in spinal treatment.
And still ahead on Korea Today, if you grew up here in Korea, you've no doubt enjoyed these childhood snacks, from the crispy sweet and fun sugar treat 볶기 to the crunchy and delightful ramyeontang. Matthew Chung shows you how to enjoy them at home.
time for news, but obviously Young Kim has never tried ramyeon tang. It's ramyeon tang as opposed to ramyeon tang. But I think I speak for a lot of us when I say I get super tired when the afternoon rolls around. Your brain just stops working, especially after lunch.
Same for me, but this whole city government has come up with a potential solution to this problem, and I personally think this policy should be spread to other companies, including ours as well. Our Ms. Arirang tells us what this is. Good morning, Ms. Arirang.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I completely agree. Your brain goes into this afternoon hibernation of sorts, and you just sit there at your desk like a zombie, not really doing much. So to counter this whole city government has come up with a new plan that allows their workers to take a power nap for up to an hour. But here's the catch. To enjoy the siesta, you have to tell your boss in the morning of your planned afternoon nap and have to make up for the missed time by staying back for the exact same amount of minutes. So you might not use it every day, but still, it'll be a good backup for those extra draining days. Up next, the wait is finally over. JYJ's second studio album, titled Just Us, will be out by the end of this month on July 29th. It's been 3 years since their last album, In Heaven, so fans are very ecstatic, to say the least. And a traditional Korean dish called obokjengban is trending online right now after being shown on a TV program. More popular in the north, it's a hot pot of sorts, with bits of meat, veggies, and egg all thrown together and boiled in a clear beef broth. Now, up to our next issue, a small family of birds, mom, dad, and 4 babies, are found nesting in a national park here in Korea. It's all the fuss right now because these birds are very rarely seen in Korea, let alone nesting. So let's take a look. They're called 황금새, literally meaning golden bird, for their bright yellow chest. During summer, they move from the Southeast Asia to Japan for the breeding season, and only a handful pass by Korea on their way. So the bird watchers here get quite excited when they spot one. So imagine their absolute delight when for the very first time a whole nest was found right here in Korea. And wrapping up, for the Frozen fans out there, real-life versions of Elsa, Anna, and Kristoff will star in the upcoming episodes of the US drama series Once Upon a Time. And that concludes our look at today's edition of your Daily News Sum Up.
You are absolutely right. I've never tried ramyeon tang. Oh, now I know, right?
You missed out.
All right, we'll find out what that's all about later on with Matthew Chung. But for now, the KBO All-Star Game is taking place later tonight in Gwangju. The first half of the 2014 KBO season has come to an end.
That's right. And to get a review of the season so far, we're now joined in the studio by SJ Lee. Good morning, SJ.
Good morning, SJ.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Obviously, can you believe it? I mean, it seems like yesterday when we just previewed the 2014 KBO season, right? And it had its ups and downs, controversies here and there, and surprises in the first half of the KBO season as well. So we're going to first start things off by taking a look at the current standings after the first half of the season. Now, the Samsung Lions continue their winning ways in first place but even with their recent struggles right now, they're still 3.5 games ahead of the second place Nexen Heroes, with NC Dinos and the Lotte Giants finishing off the top 4 teams in the standing. And of course, in the bottom half of the standing, the Tucson Bears, they've been struggling as of late. They're in 5th place with the Kia Tigers and the LG Twins storming up the standings lately, right behind the Tucson Bears. Meanwhile, the SK Wyverns, and some problems with the moment with the team right now, and the Hanwha Eagles, being Hanwha, are both down in the cellar at the moment.
So Tucson is on the 5th spot.
Right.
Does that hurt?
Well, as a fan,
For you, I know you're a huge
How dare you?
fan. But, now that we have the standings in the first half, what are some of the teams we need to look out for in the second half of this year?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the Hanwha Eagles and the SK Wyverns, it seems like they're going to stay down there, unfortunately, for the Hanwha and SK fans. But what's exciting about the season so far is the fact that the other 7 teams, any one of those teams right now, have a chance to go up to the playoffs. So it is going to get very exciting. But overall, just by looking at how they've been playing, you can bet that these Samsung Lions won't have any problem making the playoffs. I mean, they just have great offense, great pitching, so even winning another championship wouldn't be out of the question as well. But the Nexen Heroes are probably that one team that can't stop the Samsung Lions this season. I mean, you look at their lineup and it's scary. I mean, every hitter from 1 to 9 is a threat, so I wouldn't be surprised if they end up taking the title as well. Then, of course, you have the NC Dinos, right? I mean, who were once called the dark horse of the league, and they've proven that after finishing in 3rd place after the first half. So pretty surprising that they're actually only in their 2nd year in the KBO.
They just made their debut last year.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
So now, learner they are.
So we talked about the teams.
Right.
Now, give us your picks for the possible MVPs for the first half.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of players I think you would expect to do well in the first half and the second half of the season as well. But there were also this one player who just completely surprised everyone in the first half. Now, first of all, let's take a look at these two players who have been really, really tearing it up this season. Nexen Heroes Park Byung-ho and Kang Jung-ho, who currently have 30 and 26 home runs respectively. And, some people actually hit that in an entire season, right? And both players are in place to actually drive in more than 100 runs this season as well. So don't be surprised if those two teammates actually fight for the MVP at the end of the season. But there's this guy, Lee Jae-won of the SK Wyverns. I mean, this guy's not a star. That is, of course, after this season, because currently his batting average is .394, and if he can keep it up, he might be able to hit .400 this season. And you know what? If you're not a baseball fan, actually getting 4 hits out of 10, 4 out of 10 is actually very, very hard in baseball. So very exciting here.
Even if you're not a baseball fan, it always feels good to see that home run.
Right.
That's right. All right, so the All-Star game is later tonight.
Right, hopefully if the rain does hold up.
Okay, but the KBO, I understand there's some changes that the KBO is planning on after the All-Star game.
Right, and in the beginning I did mention that there were some controversies in the first half of the season as well, and some of those controversies are the umpires making these blown calls. And there was a lot of these.
You're right.
And there were players tossed, there was fines given out to the umpires as well. So what the league is now planning to do after the All-Star break is utilize the video replay system.
Instant replay.
Right, instant replay. And the Major League Baseball has already implemented this, and they've seen great success with this. So in order to prevent more blown calls from being made in the KBO, they are going to implement this fair or foul, safe or out, catch or no catch, those kind of stuff. So it'll be pretty exciting.
Wouldn't that kill the flow of the game?
Exactly. That's actually one of the...
That's the issue that comes out in every match that talks about implementing the instant replay system.
So I know something about baseball.
That's an argument. They're already saying like the baseball game right now is too slow already. So you're right. You make a very good point. But, a lot of people don't like the blown calls. So we'll have to see.
All right. Thank you, SJ.
No, it's a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
And it's time now to catch up with this week's entertainment news. And as always, we have our Denny Hong joining us here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. This week we actually have a couple interesting things to talk about. One of them being there's an update on the, I guess it's not so secret anymore, donation by Lee Young-ae to a Taiwanese couple, as well as a lot of different stories coming out from the singing world. So a lot of stories relating to idol singers for our first part of today.
So what else is new?
Well, there's a lot of stuff actually, but there's a lot. Let's take a look.
Let's check them out.
Rumors from the China Times and media in Taiwan that the Taiwanese couple actress Lee Young-ae donated money to is actually quite well off stirred up a lot of controversy this week. Lee Young-ae said she is happy simply to have been able to save the baby's life. And following this, the couple in question promised to help others struggling in Korea and Taiwan after their baby recovers. Group EXO successfully concluded their first concert in Taiwan on the 11th and 12th. Both concerts sold out with some 20,000 of their fans cheering on for the boy band. TVBS, the China Times, Taiwan's United Daily News, and other local media organizations provided live updates from the concert site. Girls' Day's new music video, Darling, was featured in the US Billboard, which has called it a mix of sexy, sweet, and swimsuits. It also said the group comes with a signature sexuality with a unique voice, highlighting it as a K-pop girl group worth keeping an eye on this summer. Girl group Crayon Pop has been touring with Lady Gaga on her North American tour. They have been so far well received by male fans overseas. The quintet also appeared on a local morning show in Chicago, performing their sensational hit, Ba Ba Ba, live. Also, a group of male fans from Indonesia put up a Crayon Pop flag on the summit of Mount Semeru, the highest mountain on the island of Java. Actress Lee Ji-ah will debut as a screenwriter for the movie Conscious Perception. According to her agency, the film will be a mystery suspense movie that has been in the works for roughly 2 years. The script is now in its final stages, and the film is said to be with a $1 million budget. It will likely premiere at the end of 2015 or early 2016.
Lee Ji-ah is so talented in so many fields.
She definitely has an interesting way of spelling her name with an E.
It's more phonetically accurate,
I suppose.
And Denny, this week you got a chance to meet with one of the newer K-pop idol groups, and I heard that they were more popular overseas rather than in Korea.
Well, I think that's kind of a standard trend, actually, for how groups before they debut in Korea to kind of try the waters out in other countries, namely Japan especially. But we did get a chance to sit down with this group, and I gotta say, I feel really good about this group's success potential. So let's take a look and check out the interview. They've been on stage for 2 years now and have recently returned to Korea after a stint in Japan with their new album, Let's Love. The group C-Clown is back. They boast some 50,000 fan club members worldwide and are becoming a new Hallyu idol sensation. We sit down with the group.
Korea Today 시청자 여러분, 안녕하세요.
C-Clown입니다. Now, can you tell us about your newest album and, of course, new song, Let's Love, and tell us about the style and concept for it?
진짜 말 그대로 저희와 만나달라는 내용이고요. 약간 댄디하면서도 순정남인 매력을 약간 좀 두 가지의 매력을 보일 수 있는 약간 그런 노래라고 보시면 됩니다.
What stands out about this album is their powerful and dynamic performance.
Look at their bodies.
이제 나랑 만나라는 제목이 워낙 격하고 약간 좀 상남자스러워가지고 춤도 약간 그런 식으로 짰거든요. 나랑 만나, 나랑 만나, 나랑 만나, 나랑 만나.
많이 해야 되는 거야?
Oh, you didn't do the dance?
No, but what's also noteworthy is the fact that all members took part in creating the album. From the choreography and lyrics to the music video teaser, they put in an exceptional amount of effort to make their comeback in Korea.
멤버들이 참여할 수 있는 기회가 돼서 로미 형, 저 준이 형 이렇게 해가지고 참여를 하게 됐는데 아로하고 시우 형도 안무를 굉장히 잘 짜거든요. 그다음에 레이 형이 또 작곡을 굉장히 잘해요. 그래서 레이 형이 작곡한 곡으로 나중에는 저희끼리 앨범을 한번 만들어서 다 같이 한번 내보고 싶은 게 저희 최종 목표인 것 같아요.
It looks like this all paid off. Their new album not only broke into the top rankings on Korean charts, but also saw a pre-order of 50,000 albums from China, South America, and Europe, putting them in the spotlight as an up-and-coming Hallyu group. Also recently, fans from Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and other countries held a major campaign using social media to invite C-Clown to their home countries.
사실 저희가 그런 거 들을 때마다 되게 아직도 신기하거든요. 되게 신기하고 저희가 어떻게 그런 나라에서 저희 곡이 들려주고 막 들리고 막 그렇게 하는 자체가 아직까지도 신기하고 되게 영광스럽다는 생각이 듭니다.
The group also held their first solo concert in Japan, and despite it being their debut concert in the country, all seats sold out, drawing major media attention.
오전에 왔는데 이렇게 많이 호응해 주셔서 너무 행복했어요. 감사합니다.
Can you tell us about any memorable fans you might have had during your time in Japan?
저희 6명이랑 똑같이 옷을 입고 머리 스타일도 똑같이 해왔더라고요. 근데 여자분들이었다고요. 저희보다 춤 잘 추더라고요.
Part of a new Hallyu wave and poised to become a leading figure in the K-pop scene, C-Clown is receiving plenty of attention as it pursues its path on the global stage. So what are your plans for down the line? What kind of things do you want to accomplish with your career?
더 많이 보여드려야 될 것 같아요. 저희 각자의 개성들이 많은데 아직 못 보여드리는 게 너무 많다 보니까 방송이나 뭐 라디오 여러 가지 매체를 통해서 좀 많이 알리고 싶고 나랑 만난 활동도 정말 열심히 마치고 싶네요.
To all the viewers from Korea today, we at C-Clan, we made a comeback with Let's Love, the Korean title being 나랑 만나, and we are more than happy to be promoting it right now. And special thanks to Danny. Thank you so much. We had such a great time. Please continue showing us support and love as we will do the same. So thank you. 마지막 인사할까? 지금까지 C-Clan이었습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you guys so much.
They speak quite good English too. Yeah, and I'm always trying to get a lowdown on some of these stars' names. And what does C-Clan? What does the
It's
letter
crown,
C?
actually. So
No.
crown clown.
Crown clown?
No, get out of here.
Really?
Crowned?
No, crown. Just
Are you making
C-R-O-W-N.
things up?
No, I'm not. That's the actual name. But C-Clown is, of course, the name of the group itself. And as you were mentioning, when it comes to their English abilities, Rome, the leader that we just saw from Australia, so he takes over duties during interviews when it comes to that.
You know, these acronyms actually got a lot better, though. You remember HOT, high five of teenagers?
Right. That was pretty
Groove
lame.
Overdrive.
No, so crown clown, like they're gaining popularity all across the globe, as we saw in the report. But I heard that they're especially popular in South America.
That's right. There's actually an interesting fan base for them there. You have Brazil, as well as Costa Rica and Peru, among other countries too. And even in Bolivia especially, it's interesting because they're beating out more well-established K-pop acts like B1A4 and Dongbang Shingi and Taeyang. So like, they're actually topping them in the charts in those countries. And so it's actually quite unique. I think part of it might be the dancing, which a lot of people, fans, have been doing parodies and cover versions of it as well for them. So I think that might be one of their highlights for the South American market.
All right, K-dance definitely is catching waves around the world as well. Now, I understand that they had a press conference with a Japanese media outlet, and many different media outlets came, basically.
That's right. So this was an open interview that was set up by a certain Japanese broadcaster, but because it was an open interview, a lot of fans showed up, but also other media sources, 20 of them in fact, showed up too because it was an open interview. And in that case, there was about 1,000 fans there, so getting a spot was a little bit difficult for these other people to show up, but it just kind of shows you that everyone was trying to see who this new group is and what they're about in their music.
With some of the other stars, it usually starts out with Japan and then to China and then a little across the country, across the world. But with this group, I think they started out even further across the world. And I wonder why that is. I mean, it's clear to me that they have very good, nice bodies. Maybe that helped. I don't know.
We actually talked about that. Again, their rise to fame is still ongoing. They haven't really plateaued yet. And I think it always takes time for a group to kind of maintain themselves in the social consciousness of their fans. And this one, I think Rome, the one that's from Sydney, the leader, he probably had a lot more to do with this because not only before he debuted, he was a street dancer, freestyle performer. And so he has his own online site where he grew his fan base from there, and as well as he's hosting another radio show as well. And so because of his social media attention, I think a lot more people knew who he was before he debuted with the group, and then they kind of latched on to that. And you know, there's a difference between choreography dances and of course people that are able to just dance from the heart. And I think that also helped too. And so social media definitely played a big role. And I would really put myself out there saying that I think that give it a year. Give it,
and then they'll have the crown.
They'll have that crown. Give it a year. I think they're going to be a really big threat to the more popular acts pretty soon. My prediction.
All right, well, you know what? Well, remember what he said about crayon pop, right?
Right, he's always right.
I'm going to say it again.
Check him out. Denny.
Thank you very much, Denny.
No problem.
All right, we're going to be back with that Ramyeon Tang with Matthew Chung in just a moment, right after a check at your top 5 Korean pop music chart. You know, I don't know about you, but back when I was like a little elementary school brat, I was in Korea, and I used to go around, you know, steal like 101 coins from my mom's desk or table, and then, you know, go buy some of these snacks over here. And that's what we're going to talk about today, some of our favorite childhood snacks from here in Korea. And Matthew Chung joins us. Good morning.
Good morning. And you know what? I mean, you know, maybe you did that as a little brat, but I still do that as a big brat. So
take money from your mom?
I mean, 101 at a time, just 101 at a time. And it's probably just because these classic snacks are just so good.
Yeah.
And you know, we have a couple of recipes that we want to show you here in the studio. But before that, we put together was a short clip of some famous Korean classic snacks. So why don't we take a look?
There are a lot of things that bring back good memories, but one of them is food. It takes you down memory lane. And the childhood snacks that kids flock to get a bite in front of school, well, they're at the top of the list in terms of addictive flavor. And I'm here at Toyin, and let's take a look at some of these favorite snacks. What really grabs your attention here are the vast number of childhood favorites. They may be in less demand than before, but people still go the extra mile to look for them.
소다.
And one of these favorites is, of course, 볶기. This is one of those enduring classics. Kids must have burned a lot of ladles back in the day trying to make it for themselves. It's made with sugar and baking soda, and once you heat the ingredients up, it creates this flavor similar to caramel, but it's got a unique texture and a signature bittersweet taste. And even just eating it is a game. It's where you try to break off the pieces to keep the shape in the middle. If you do a perfect job, you get another one for free. So it's an obvious reason why it's so popular with young kids. It might be hard to find these old school childhood treats, but they're easy to make, so you might as well create your own and enjoy it at home.
And here we are with these snacks right here in the studio. First, this is the stuff that you can just buy at the stores. And there's some examples of the taegunas, or also known as the 볶is, with the shapes that's embedded onto them. It's fabulous. I mean, it really brings back childhood memories, and that flavor, I mean, it just tastes so good.
It really does. I mean, because at the end of the day, what it is, it's essentially, it's a caramel, but with a little extra. So so we're gonna make these right here in the studio, and you're gonna see exactly what that little extra means. And it really does make a world of difference. So we're gonna do this together.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I like this.
All right, so
these are the ones these are especially for this, right?
Exactly. Yeah. These are, you know, these are a single-use item, and they're for making 볶기. So what we're gonna do? Let's get a little bit of sugar in here. So we'll just
stir it with here.
Thank you. So what you're gonna do is, right in here, you're gonna take 2 full spoonfuls of sugar and place it right in there like so.
All right.
All right. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our fire going, just a pretty low flame. And it's important to be patient. You can't rush this process.
Or it'll burn, right?
It'll burn on you.
Okay.
And it's really not no fun. So you
do that.
Yeah, so what we're just gonna do is we're just gonna heat it gently over this fire. And you know, I noticed you mentioned earlier that, you know, like, is taeguna or 볶기, but there's actually a slight difference.
Okay, tell us the difference. The 볶기 is the ones with the shapes embedded into them, which you're supposed to try to get the shape out, right?
Well, not only that, taeguna also, it contains glucose in there, so it gives a little bit of a chewier finish. So.
Could the flame be too low right now? How long is it supposed to take?
It'll take a few seconds, up to like a full minute. But if you feel, my sugar's starting to melt at the bottom.
Oh, really? You can feel that? Show's gonna be over by the time we're done.
You look like master chefs right there, both of you.
Really, what it is 2 grown men just stirring
having fun,
sugar
like
over
the
fire.
boys.
Stop melting.
Come on, Young.
Wow. That looks like rocket science. Rocket science.
You know what? Why don't I work on this and you work on the second one here?
Sounds good. All right.
Here, I'll take yours. Yours is actually okay.
Which is funny. It's on the same burner, and we're on the same distance. All right. So the other one that I have is the ramyeon-tang, and essentially what it is, it's a fried ramyeon. And so what you do is you take instant noodles, and you want to just get some oil in the pan. And mind you, ramyeon noodles, they've already been fried once. So this is going to go by very quickly. So you just want to make sure that your oil gets nice and hot. And while this is heating up, let's see how you're doing there. You're getting there.
It's going.
You're getting there. And you can really smell that.
Yeah, it smells great in the studio.
That beautiful, smoky aroma that sugar gets when you start to cook it down.
Okay.
Let me just warn you, Young can't multitask, so let him focus on that.
Stop talking to me.
And you just make that ramyeon-tang for us, please.
All right. So I can smell the oil. It's starting to get a little bit hotter, and that's starting to melt down. Now, one of the great things about these classic snacks is how fast they are to cook, apparently. But that's the thing too. Is you would go out in the street and you'd wait. And as they would cook off the ramyeon-tang for you, and there's just that sense of anticipation that you get. So, all right, so my pan is just starting to smoke just a little bit. So you just want to quickly shallow fry this ramyeon.
I'm never doing this again, by the way.
You're almost there, come on.
Okay, so what do I do now?
All right, so what you want to do is you want to take it off the heat.
Let's get the camera over here.
Just want to take it off the heat, and then put in just a touch.
Can I just do it like that?
Yep. You're going to want a little bit more than that.
Is that enough? Okay.
Yep. Keep it off the heat just for a second, and then you want to return it back to the heat as you feel it start to thicken up on you. All right, now put it right over the heat. So you can see it's starting to turn opaque, and it turns opaque because of basically it's a foam that you're creating. What you have there is baking soda, and if you remember from your elementary school science fair days, acid plus baking soda equals a lot of foam. And one thing that happens when you cook down sugar is that essentially it turns acidic. So basically what you have is a very delicious chemical reaction that's happening.
Okay, there it is.
There you go.
It's expanding.
All right, so you can pull out the heat.
That's the most serious I've seen of Young of late.
All right, so you can pull out the heat.
He's looking very serious.
Yeah. All right, and then keep stirring it for a little while longer, and then you just want to
dump it on here.
Dump it right over the whole sugar.
And we'll just do it. We don't have
there
time.
You go.
Kind of burned it, but it's okay.
You know what? I just say that you just develop more flavor is what it is.
So do I just put this down here?
Give it a second. You want it to set a little bit, and then, you know what? I guess a second is gone. You just give it.
I'll just do what I saw on TV. All right, and then I report it.
Wow.
Ooh, not
You did a good job.
Young.
I can't pick it up right now.
Leave it there. We'll come and pick it up.
And help Matthew with this ramyeon-tang.
Okay. So that's the ramyeon-tang, right?
Yep. So yeah, this is the ramyeon-tang. Basically, what you have is just a nice, crispy, toasty ramyeon instant noodle. And other recipes, they'll usually involve sugar or even some glucose in there to give it a nice little sheen.
Oh, it smells great.
Yeah, nice and nutty. But we're opting for a very straightforward version, which is essentially just pan-fried whole dried ramyeon noodles.
Okay.
Come on over, guys, so we can enjoy. Wow, this
I don't know if you want
delicacy we're about to enjoy. Quite excited.
To be honest, mine turned out to be just this little glob.
Fold yours.
No, it just broke. It wasn't ready to, I guess, be picked up.
Still, you did a good job.
Well, no gourmet dish per se, but still it's really, really good.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, you know what? When it comes to snacks, who wants gourmet anyway?
Right. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just start with Young's first, just because this is his first time. Right?
No, I mean the sugar cooked well, and you got the proper reaction with the baking soda from that.
So does he get an A?
Well, we have to wait until it sets up a little bit, because one of the great things about the snack is that it gets crispy and chewy at the same time.
I used to love this string too. When it's right chewy, and you would just break off the strings.
It's like
enjoy it like this.
It's like the cheese that strings off a pizza.
Exactly.
This is how it's supposed to look.
Yeah, but I think
needs some time.
Yeah, no, but you can have it like that
You
too.
can
really?
still have it.
Okay.
It's so nice and crispy. It's good. And confession time, I've never tried ramyeon until now.
Yeah, you know what? I vaguely remember having this a few times as a kid, but really, it's not something that's been part of like the conscious. But it's surprisingly, what is it? A satisfying little snack.
I love the color on this thing too. It's got a little gradation going on. Is it good?
I mean, anything that's twice fried, I mean, you can't go wrong with it.
And then sprinkled with sugar, I believe. Did you?
No, this one is just the fried noodles because usually when you add sugar to it, you cook it in the pan with it, so it almost glazes it.
But I like it as it is.
It is so good, right?
And then you can sprinkle some of that ramyeon, the flakes, the powder, right? If you want it a little bit more spicy, right?
It's a blank canvas as far as
All right. Thank you so much for bringing these snacks. Two
And
gentlemen
our
here.
memories.
End the show, we're going to have a contest to see who can make this the best, okay?
I will win that contest. All right, well, that's just about it for our Friday edition of Korea Today.
All right, thank you, Matthew, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning at 7 a.m.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
No problem.